Hello and welcome to another episode of Axe of the Blood God, an independent RPG podcast. I'm your host, Kat Bailey. Joining me, as always, my lovely co-host, Nadia Oxford.
Hello, Cat. Joe Hot Dog says trans rights.
Oh, now they're Jill Hot Dog.
No, I said Joe Hot Dog.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
I'm trying to remember. I can't remember if I came up with Joe Hot Dog, or I'm pretty sure it was Eric. Eric, I'm sorry for stealing Joe Hot Dog. It happened
Wait,
before the show
you
started.
stole Joe Hot Dog from Eric? This isn't a Nadia original?
I don't think so. I just feel like I heard it somewhere, and it must have Eric must have said it, and it just hid in the crevasses of my mind, the deep, dark crevasses.
Ah, the crevasses.
The crevasses. That's where the bad things live.
We all know about the crevasses in Nadia's mind.
No, you don't. I have many crevasses on my body as well.
Indeed. Yes, this week it's just me and Nadia. No, Eric. Eric is in SGF, so it's a little bit of a throwback to
Yeah.
the good old days, I suppose, of Axe of the Blood God. Sorry, Eric.
Yeah, we love you, Eric. We're not putting you on blast, but this is really a retro kind of podcast, isn't it? And it's not
Radical
even
Defect
retronauts.
says Nadia's nostalgia crevasse.
Oh no, that's very
No.
cursed.
Oh
We're not going
gosh.
to talk about those.
Well, we have plenty to cover because we are in the midst of an extremely busy and pretty wild week for video games. So the Switch 2 is out. We have one. I'm looking at mine right now. Nadia has one as well. We've been playing it. We did a stream a little bit earlier this week, and we are going to be sharing all of our thoughts as well as the road ahead for the Switch 2. We'll also be recapping the state of play. We'll be streaming, we'll be talking about. God damn it. This is why we have an editor. Uh, the Twitch stream was like playing on my phone. Where's Eric when we need him? Okay, let's try that again.
Yes.
We'll be the Switch 2 is out, and we'll be reacting to all of it and talking about the road ahead. We'll be recapping Summer Game Fest and State of Play, and I'll be talking about playing Magic the Gathering and Final Fantasy last night, and many other acronyms as well. And of course, as always, we're going to be having Nadia's Nostalgia Nook. It's going to be a very old school episode of Axe of the Blood God, so please look forward to it. But before we get to that, first, if you enjoy the podcast, please like us and subscribe to us on Twitch, twitch.tv/bloodgodpod. We do this every Saturday, thereabouts, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, though I think next week we're actually going to be doing it on a Monday. Because,
Yeah, sorry about that, everyone.
sorry, surprise, it's going to be Shivam, actually, is joining
Mhm.
us. Shivam, who is a big wheel over in the old Magic the Gathering factory these days.
Magic the Gathering Factory. I don't know. My friend is a pretty big wheel down at the Magic Factory.
Yeah, we know him as
Which was a
Shiva,
goat?
our bud Shivam from the days of One Up and Retronauts, but Shivam these days has umpteen billion podcasts and many other things, and he's doing very well for us. So he's going to come and join us, talk about Magic the Gathering. And actually, on that note, on Monday, I'm going on his podcast. I
Oh,
believe I'm going on Casual Magic. I don't know which of his podcasts I'm going on to talk about
okay.
my own experience with Magic the Gathering and Final Fantasy. So go check that out. If in the meantime, we're on Spotify and all of the other platforms for podcasting that you can imagine. We're on Patreon at patreon.com/bloodgodpod. We have a new Pantheon. Vagrant Story. Nadia did that one alongside Victor Hunter. I'm sure it was very fun. I was not part of it, but
It was 2.5 hours. If you like to talk about Evilise and Vagrant Story for 2.5 hours, by God, we have a podcast for you.
and speaking of which, there's also a Final Fantasy Tactics Pantheon as well. So if you
There
want
is.
all the Evilies, you're going to get all the Evilies right there if you subscribe to Axe of the Blood God at the $10 level. And we're doing a monthly game club, Trails in the Sky SC. That was the new one that was just confirmed. And we are doing a current side quest. We're doing a book club for the 5th season. So much happening over in the old Discord. A couple weeks ago, I was playing Final Fantasy 14, and a whole bunch of people
Yes.
came in and totally helped me out, and it was so fun. I had a great time. That's the kind of community that Blood God has. We also, when we streamed Mario Kart, we got a couple folks in, and we were playing with them. And
That was fun.
it was really tight and intense race. Nadia and I ended up tying.
We did, yeah. And
Yeah,
actually, thinking back about it, I was surprised that it was so intense and fun because the online was very good for a Nintendo product. I'm not really used to that.
indeed. Okay, a few other items. Charlie and Dropouts, that's available to everybody. We have merch at shop.bloodgodpod.com. Hoodies, mugs, you name it. It's all there. We got this really cool desk mat featuring art from our 10th anniversary from Dayumi. And we have a newsletter at bloodgodpod.com. Just go and subscribe. If you're in the part of the Patreon, you'll get access to our premium version. Nadia, what did you write about this past week?
Basically, I wrote about uh, the launch of the Switch 2 because I went to line up for it like an idiot, and I always swear to myself I'm never going to do this again. I've been swearing that since the Wii, so here I am again. But I kind of go a little bit into just obviously it's not quite as RPG focused as it usually is, but I think I was making an exception for the Switch launch because I kind of went into also the culture of midnight launches back in the day because I wrote about how I remember God Halo 2. I remember that launch because I was working at a store that was right next to a Future Shop, which was a now dead Canadian electronics chain, and they had like a Master Chief cosplayer and a land truck and all this crazy stuff. And it wasn't even like the cultural epicenter of the city or anything like that. It's actually kind of like in the East End, and just I have this picture somewhere of myself and my husband with a Master Chief cosplayer, and it's just like so grainy and gross as you expect a Polaroid to be from back then. But, it's kind of nice to be part of that midnight launch culture, even if, it doesn't is not what it once was. And maybe that's okay. As I said, I'm kind of done with waiting outside in the cold and the rain. It was raining when I picked up my Switch, but something keeps compelling me.
So if you want content like that, go check us out at bloodgodpod.com.
All about the queue, baby.
And finally, we every week we shout out a different star of Destiny. And this week we are shouting out Flashback 2012. My pal Tom. Thanks, Tom. Thank you so much for your support.
Thank you, Tom.
All right, let's talk about the Nintendo Switch 2, which is now officially out. As I said, Nadia and I have had it. Nadia was alluding to her experience standing in line. So this is how it went for me. I went to Best Buy in San Francisco and around 8 p.m. and there were like 200 people there
Wow.
waiting. And thankfully, I had been able to secure a pre-order. And so there was a special line for the pre-order folks. I met a very nice man named Edwin who talked about is apparently a Smash Brothers fan and plays as Lucas.
Oh,
So Lucas, or
dang.
so Edwin, you're nice, but I also hate you.
Anyone who plays Lucas is dangerous. Just like one of those people, like my dad always said, watch out for guitar players who say they play a little bit because they're always masters. So watch out for anyone who says they play Lucas. They're a master.
Yes,
Trouser Snake.
they like fighting games apparently, and we swapped stories about going to old launches and things like that. Weird fun fact: a friend of mine was the first person in Minnesota to buy an Xbox.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I know this because in the Game Informer they took his picture and put it in Game Informer.
When the Xbox came out, there was a midnight launch for that, and at this point, I was a custodian at them all overnight, and absolutely nobody came to this midnight launch of the Xbox. Believe it or not.
But it was pretty chaotic. Well, not that chaotic, controlled chaos, I suppose you could say.
Hmm.
And I was able to get in, and the pro controllers, they just cleaned out of pro controllers immediately.
Yeah. I was actually surprised. Like, I don't know what the accessory status was in my store because we didn't really get any, but I've heard things about accessories just flying off the shelves. The gaming controllers, the even the little charging dock things, the little yeah, those were gone. I thought that people would skip those because they're kind of expensive.
I thought about getting a pro controller, but they're like almost $100,
It's a little much right
and
now.
I do need to save my money for Magic. But
You see, I have one addiction and I have to feed the other. It's
Yeah.
really terrible.
No, I'm on a budget for magic cards. But
Magic Ball
I have a
defect.
regular Switch Pro controller, so I am just going to be using
That's still
that.
pretty
And
good.
thankfully, it was. So I got home, got it all plugged in and everything, and one of the first things I became confused and worried about was, wait a minute, how does the system transfer work? Because Nintendo has to make
Mm.
everything kind of complicated.
Oh
But
yeah,
and I was a little afraid about what to do with my Animal Crossing island. I didn't want to risk, messing it up or anything.
yeah.
I didn't want to risk messing up Pokemon. But I have Nintendo Switch Online, and I pretty quickly realized that if I just if I just download them piecemeal, I can get the cloud saves onto it relatively easily. I didn't want to wipe my old
Yeah.
Switch. And so
Same.
that's what I ended up doing. And uh, they have the new virtual game card system, which is all well and good until my Switch wasn't charging. Like it lost power and then it wasn't charging. And
Oh
suddenly
no.
I couldn't shift the little game cards around.
Oh. Oh
Because
no.
God forbid you be able to access your own games on the cloud.
What do you think this is, Cat? Capitalism?
I
Buy
know.
things and get them? No, that's not how it works anymore.
No,
You buy
no,
things, and you
it's
borrow
on the
them.
other Switch. You can't have it.
No, I mean, come on.
So annoying. So I was able to get it charging again eventually and download some more stuff. I have Mario Kart. I got a code for Bravely Default,
Hmm.
and I downloaded a bunch of other games just to try them out. We did the stream together, and I guess the first thing I want to say is I've been kind of like, Mario Kart, is it that good? Is it a system seller? Nadia, this is a really good Mario Kart.
Yeah. I am not the hugest Mario Kart fan in the entire world. I grew up with the original, of course, I love that. But other than that, I think DS was the only Mario Kart I really loved. And the thing I love about this one, I didn't like really think I'd care that much, is just noodling around in the open world. Like even though you only get stickers, I wish you got like more for your successes. Like some of those challenges are really fun and they're really easy to do on the fly. And I was just driving around the world, and suddenly I see Baby Daisy. I'm like, God damn it, I gotta go kill Baby Daisy. So I drove after her, and I would not give up until I ran over Baby Daisy. And I ran over Baby Daisy, and I was like, this is the
You
best game
murdered
of the
Baby
year.
Daisy?
I
Baby
did.
Daisy's dead.
2020 GTOY 2025.
I did a time trial on one of the raceways. I do like that. So I've seen some mixed reactions to the nature of the challenges. It reminds me a little bit of Burnout Paradise
Yeah,
and
right?
Forza Horizon. There's not that much to find on the map compared to those games, but the actual challenges are pretty enjoyable. And so I just had fun going around and doing those. I think the strongest part of Mario Kart World is definitely the knockout tour, where
Oh, that's great.
it's basically like F-Zero 99 or Mario Kart 99, but in
Yeah.
very large form, where you're just trying to stay ahead of the curve and not get eliminated. And it's so chaotic with 24 players. Holy smokes. Everybody's fighting tooth and nail, using items. It's just like Bloodsport, but with little carts and Baby Daisy.
And Baby Daisy. Yeah, you could actually do that also with not just with live players, but with like NPCs as well. Like you and I were racing against a whole bunch of NPCs, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. Cyber Alpha 5 says, I hate all the baby characters. They are a blight in Mario Kart. I have a really funny story, and I'm really sorry if this was you, but I laughed my ass off. Like, I was on Blue Sky, and someone was very angry about the Nintendo Switch and Mario Kart World Tour, or sorry, Mario Kart World. Um, they were just like, Nintendo doesn't care anymore, blah blah blah, and they used what they used as an example was the fact that Nintendo included a sidestepper from the original Mario Brothers. Just like, oh, we got a fucking sidestepper. Nintendo doesn't care anymore. They just put out
What?
anything and everyone just buys it. They
What?
were angry about the sidestepper, the crab, from Mario. Why are
What?
you picking on sidestepper? He's great.
Hey! I
I
think the
love
crab's
sidestepper.
hilarious.
Right? Right.
Come on.
Uh, Actually, I have to give Mario Kart's developer some credit also because in that game, when you hit the cows or any other animal, they kind of fly up in the air harmlessly. If you hit a moose, the moose wins.
Moose
It's very
wins.
true to life. Moose wins.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from Minnesota. You're from Canada. Uh, there are
Moose are the ones you
meese.
don't screw around with.
There are mooses
Yeah,
in Minnesota, and they're terrifying. If you run
yeah.
into one of those things, you're gonna die. The
You
moose will
can
not be
die very
phased.
easily. Like you will get tossed.
They
The
will
moose
total
has
your car.
one natural predator, and it's the orca.
The
That
orca
gives you
eats meese?
the orca will eat meese because the meese can dive to get aquatic plants in the wintertime. They're really good swimmers. That's just what we need. Moose that can swim really well.
It makes me think of The Simpsons. It's like, well, that's the good news. We're just gonna get an orca to eat the moose. But what about all the orcas? Well, when winter comes, they will simply freeze to death. I don't think that's how orcas work, but I
No,
just
they don't freeze very easily.
no.
They chill out as it is.
So, in addition to Mario Kart, we also tried various games on the Switch too. So, one of the first things we played was Bravely Default, which is a port of the Nintendo 3DS game. I only played a little bit of Bravely Default when came out. I have played a lot of Bravely Default 2, as longtime listeners of this podcast will know. And I have to say that I was immediately back into it. I really
Mhm.
liked it. I thought it looked great on the Switch. I think that, yes, it's kind of overly stylized, but I think it has almost a painterly quality to it. And I like the new voice acting, and the game, and it runs at 60 FPS. And
Yeah.
that's kind of all I can ask. And meanwhile, the best parts of Bravely Default is that battle system. It just
Mm.
really hums along. It is so much fun. And I just want to grind jobs in Bravely Default. So it's the year of our Lord 2025, and I'm playing a 3DS game on my new Switch too.
That's how it's gonna be. It looks really good. Like when I was watching you play it, I was kind of like, yeah, I played it on 3DS. I don't really need it. Now I got FOMO because I'm like, oh, I really want that now. Good RPG to sink my teeth into for a while.
It feels weird to say that Bravely Default is underrated, but I think it's kind of underrated. I think that the concepts of the Brave and then the Default, where you're saving up terms and then burning them all at once, the boss fights are so much fun in that
Yeah,
game.
the I feel like Octopath has definitely overshadowed it, and I mean Octopath is freaking amazing, so I'm not surprised. But yeah, Bravely Default still has a lot of its own charm to it.
I had so much fun unlocking the different jobs in Bravely Default 2 as well. And so I have to imagine that it's a very similar experience in Bravely Default. So kind of an
Mhm.
unsung game, I think, for the Switch
Yeah,
2. And I think that if you're an RPG fan, you should absolutely pick it up. I'm really happy that this remaster is out. It because the original was, locked to the original 3DS, and if you have a 3DS, that's all well and good, but being able to play it on your Switch too, like it just makes it a lot more accessible now.
one thing I've learned actually is that my favorite 3DS, because I have like 50 of them, of course, the battery's almost dead. When I was playing
Really?
Radiant Historia on it for the Pantheon, it just would not hold a charge for more than an hour, and I was very sad.
What 3DS do you have?
I think it was a new 2D 3DS. I don't know what freaking moniker it had, but it was definitely my favorite one. It had like a really big, good screen. It was black. It was like it was one of the XL family, and I like the XLs. So I was sad.
I have a new 2DS XL, which is the one that's kind of teal, and
Yeah,
it doesn't have any 3D, but I'm fine with that because I have an astigmatism and I can't really see 3D. So
yeah. They
you're all
released one.
flat. You're all completely flat. I just
You're
see
all flat.
everybody
You're all
looks
two
like the
dimensional.
entire world looks like Paper Mario to me.
Actually, I think my mom has that problem. She has no depth perception. It's weird.
Really?
Yeah, she's blind in one eye. It's
Oh.
crazy.
So Cyberpunk is another big game that came out on the Switch too. Obviously, that's a port of the game that came out 5 years ago. Speaking of Pantheon episodes, we did that one this year, and Nadia and
Hmm.
I had such a good time with it. And I really don't want to imagine what this game is like on Switch 2. Apparently, it's fine. And
Yeah.
the Switch 2 is a bit
Um.
better than the Steam Deck, and Cyberpunk ran fine on my Steam Deck. as well. I just think that it's going to get pretty gnarly when you get to Phantom Liberty and a lot of the expansion content. So uh, it's fine. It's a perfectly fine way to play Cyberpunk, but maybe much like playing The Witcher 3 on Switch, if you can get it on a different console, maybe you should do that.
Yeah, for sure. I actually heard someone in the line when I was lining up for the Switch 2 say they played Witcher 3 on the Switch and it was a nightmare. So maybe, yeah, I tried to play on the Switch Lite, which was a mistake. I would certainly go for the PlayStation 5.
On that note, actually, Digital Foundry did do a test backwards compatibility for the Switch 2, and Witcher 3 was one of their games. They did say that they were overall positive on the improvements, but they also said the upscaling is, quote, basic. And another talking point around the Switch 2 is people who are technically minded, they aren't a big fan of the screen because it doesn't... I'm not a tech person, but it falls short in a lot of kind of key categories, and it's a definite downgrade from the OLED screen. And one of the key talking points around it is especially how HDR is handled on it. Basically down to Nintendo doesn't know how to do HDR, which is not surprising to me because Nintendo is not what you would describe as a tech company.
I'm not extremely.
Yeah, and going from 720p Switch games that were 720p to 1080p is sort of a mixed bag, I suppose. God, I hate using that cliche, but that's the best I could think of in the moment. But
I'm seeing from Cyber Alpha 5 that Cyberpunk on Switch 2 is actually really good, and there's people I actually read this recently. There's mouse support and keyboard support, or at least
yeah,
partial peripheral support. That's crazy.
I haven't tried the mouse. How does that work exactly?
I haven't tried the mouse either, and I'm waiting because this is one of my big predictions. I think we are getting a Mario Maker / Mario Paint kind of crossover, more Mario Paintish than usual Mario Makers, and the mouse will play a key part in that.
Other updates. So we tried Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and that got a big patch and is now in 60 FPS, and it's a new game. It's playable.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for this moment. I've been saying I can't stand this. It's running at like 20 FPS. I find it literally unplayable. I'm going to wait. And now it's playable. So I may actually finish it before Gen 10 comes around.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember, is it 30 locked or is it 60?
It's 60.
See, that's pretty, yeah, see, I am definitely going to re-download those and play it because I have heard, like, despite all the technical issues, this is a really great Pokemon game, so I don't want it to pass me by.
Some people like it. There are a lot of things about it I don't like.
Yeah, I'm just interested to see how Pokemon open world works. See, what happened to me when I tried to play the game for the first time, I'm not a frame rate nerd, but I tried to go to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet after Xenoblade Chronicles 3, which of course is brilliant. And that was a lot like the time that I went from Dragon Quest 8 to Suikoden 3 and said, "Oh, yeah, bye. Sorry."
Bye. I will say that we'll get to this a little bit later, but there was a new Digimon game that was shown at the State of Play, and I was saying Pokemon really should look like this. This is what Pokemon should look like.
It should, but it's a completely different game from what I played of like Cyber
Sure.
Sleuth. I do like that the Digimon game. I can't remember what it's called, but it has a really great piece of art for its cover, like kind of a parody of the Birth of Man, but with Digimon.
The Birth of
That's
Man.
what I need in my life. Yeah, take that, Birth of Man. You know, the Sistine Chapel, Michelangelo reaching for God.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's pretty great. The only thing that'd be better is a parody of a. Okay, next Digimon game, you got to have a parody of The Last Supper for your cover. Who's Jesus though? Is that Agumon? One of you will betray me.
I mean, all the monsters in that game become hot angels, right?
Yeah, some of them become refrigerators.
What?
I don't understand Pokemon Digimon logic. That's the reason why I don't exactly like the series. Pokemon, okay, it's like here's your cat, here's your bigger cat, here's your wrestler cat. I understand that progression. Digimon is okay. You can either have here's your cute Tyrannosaurus Rex baby. It can be a Seraph with like 60 eyes, or it can be an oven from the 70s. Like I don't get it. I don't want it. Or it can be a cat too. It can be like a jaguar. I don't know.
Reminds me of ProZD doing the anime that's all of the different kitchen appliances that are all in love with one another and betraying one another. And Fridge Senpai is betraying everybody, and
Oh man.
he's got the knife taped to the fridge.
I think of Pro CD, all I can think of is I, King Dragon, will strike you down.
Yes.
Dennis. Oh, that's me.
So good. I during the stream I also played Link's Awakening, and
That's right.
I was really happy with that. It makes me want to play that. The art style wasn't working for me, and now that it's in 60 FPS, it works for me. Funny how that works.
Yeah, see? Isn't it though? Like, and it's a great adaptation. People say, "Oh, play the original," and I love the original, but switching between two buttons sucks ass. You don't have to do that. You don't have to suffer like that. Link's Awakening is great on the Switch too.
And finally, what else? There was another game that I played, but I really can't remember. TLDR, the various Switch 2 upgrades are really good, and I don't know if it's worth $450, but you'll also get Mario Kart World, and I think that's great as well. Side note, I have Nintendo Switch Online, as I already mentioned, and you got GameCube with that. I do not have a GameCube controller. I think there's been some discourse around the input delay. I think this is a thing with all of the specialty controllers, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I was just playing with a regular Nintendo Switch Pro controller. I was playing some Soul Calibur 2. It looks great.
I was playing that. Yeah, I was playing with my husband yesterday, playing as Link, and looks great. Sounds great. Um, the emulation is really fantastic on that. I haven't played any other GameCube game yet though.
Did I tell you? I'm sure I've said this on the podcast. When my partner and I started dating, we played Soul Calibur. We played so much Soul Calibur. That was how we bonded.
Oh,
And Marvel vs. Capcom
nice.
2 on the Dreamcast. And then when Soul Calibur 2 came out on the PS2, I borrowed it from a friend and played through basically the entire single player mode with every single character, and
Nice.
that game, there's so fully featured, so good. It makes me really sad that Soul Calibur kind of died because there was nobody to advocate for it at Bandai Namco.
Mm-hmm.
But huge fan of Soul Calibur.
Maybe we'll see a revival now that people are playing it on the Switch again.
But I didn't really think that the GameCube was a huge value add, and now I think I'm kind of changing my mind. There's a lot of games that I would like to play on this thing. Wind Waker's on it, F-Zero GX, those are the launch games, and then they've already confirmed a bunch of others, including Fire Emblem, which is a really nice ad because that one is quite rare at this moment in time. I think it's well more than $100, and you have to have an actual GameCube in order to play it unless you emulate it.
Yeah.
So having that one readily available is really cool.
Yeah, is that that's one of the good Fire Emblems, right?
That's the Dawn of Ike.
Ike. I fight for my friend.
I like Ike, you like Ike. Path
Path
of Radiance.
The only
Yeah.
character who wasn't he wasn't a lord. That was a big deal at the time.
Yeah, no, he's not a lord. He is a scrappy rebel fighter.
He fights for his friend.
He's working class. Probably supports West Ham.
Like
That's a soccer reference.
West Ham ain't worth a shit.
Eric's not here, so I can reference soccer all I want.
If you reference soccer in Eric's presence, he banishes you to the Phantom Zone.
Actually, he likes soccer. He's an Austin FC fan. But
oh, that's cool.
Yeah. All right, looking ahead, here's some other RPGs that you can look forward to on the Switch too. Pokemon Legends ZA. That's a big one. It's coming out on October 16th. I think that will be a big seller. I think a lot of people will be buying that one.
Yeah, that's going to be a big one.
Yeah.
That's going to be a big Christmas game.
And it's just so much better on Switch too than on Switch, but it's on both, so whatever. If you want to play it in 10 FPS, you can do that.
Hey, that's what you want.
That's your prerogative. I would actually consider buying a Switch 2 just for Prime 4 and Pokemon Legends ZA.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Prime I'm excited for.
There's also Raido, the Soulless Army, the remaster for that. Actually, Victor's playing that.
I was going to say that's going to be Victor's
That's Victor's Beat. It's going to
Victor's
be
Beat.
out later this month. We'll get Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar. We're getting Rune Factory. I believe that's out right now. Rune Factory, Guardians of Azuma. And I will just say that it's pretty good. I can't say
Yeah.
anything more than that, but it is pretty good.
And Fantasy Life I works great on
Yes.
the Switch. I actually turned off HDR on handheld mode, and
Mm.
the screen looks a lot better that way. But yeah, it's not quite OLED, but it's not bad. I've had a lot worse. I grew up with the Game Boy. I can take it.
In terms of ports, we're going to getting Elden Ring Tarnished Edition and Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate, and eventually Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Hades 2, I believe, has some exclusivity on the Switch too
It does.
when it comes
Yeah.
out. It'll be on, I believe, PC and Switch too. And I mean, I've been playing on PC, so hopefully my save carries over, so I don't have to start all over with the new game. Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, and then in 2026 we're getting the Duskbloods, which does sound something like the Addams Family or Hotel Transylvania or something like that.
Hotel Transylvania featuring the Duskbloods.
Yes.
What a crossover. I'd watch it. I honestly would. Can you imagine like the happy, cool vampire, blah, welcome, this is my family, and just like, I don't know, Ornstein and Smough like shuffle in and just smash him or whatever. I don't know who's showing up.
That'll be out in 2026. So plenty of games to look forward to. Nothing super, amazing. It kind of is carrying over the tradition of what we've been seeing from PS5 and Xbox Series X, which is last generation experiences, but more and better.
And better? Yeah, there's that question mark. I guess the days of upgrading from 8-bit to 16-bit are long behind us, so yeah, I'll take it. I mean, honestly, Mario Kart again is proving to be more involving than I thought it would be, but also there's so many great games I'm playing now on the Switch too. Like I do honestly want to break out Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I think finishing that is one of my first priorities.
I don't want to be negative, but do games ever feel stagnant to you? Does it ever feel
Not
like
really.
to me it feels like I'm trying to remember the last time a game came out and I felt like it really changed the game. Breath of the Wild? 2017? All right.
Breath of the Wild was like that. Tears of the Kingdom was like that for me, even though it was the same idea. It really expanded on it so much in a way that I was just like, it was a whole new experience for me. Yeah, it depends. Like, I'm easily entertained. I'm a child. If anything, if I ever feel sad or bored, I just break out Vampire Survivors and I'm happy as a clam.
I mean, Vampire Survivors is a lot of fun. I'm
It's
not
pretty great. We
saying
need
we've
to
had a
lose
lot
ourselves.
of really fantastic games over the past 10 years. No doubt about that. Games like Hades and Blueprints and Clair Obscur, Expedition 33, and such and such. And but I suppose that it does feel like games have fallen into this category of a lot of developers know how certain things work, and you're just less likely to see what you would describe as truly mind-blowing innovation. And so many games are going back to concepts that are 10 and 20 years old, and or copying each other's homework or whatever,
And that always
because
happens though.
it's risky to make
Like,
a truly new experience. I did like
it's
that puppet game that's basically Punch Out.
that puppet game is not going to control well at all, but it's going to be funny as hell. It's just a matter of like a few years ago, we were all sitting here saying, "Oh God, here come all the farming games," because everyone was chasing Stardew Valley. Everyone's chasing extraction shooters now for some reason, and these are all games that take considerably longer to make than a farming sim. So here they come 4 years later, and it's like, a lot of you are going to fail. I'm really sorry to say that. I don't want to say that, but it's just not good timing. So yes, yesterday's presentation absolutely felt kind of stale, but we were all complaining about how everything was guns. Of course it felt stale.
I mean, last generation with the Switch, Nintendo was at its just absolute creative best between games like Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey. Frankly, Smash Brothers Ultimate was awesome. So good. I just can they top that? I don't think so. I think that Nintendo is going to be playing the hits a lot with the Switch too. And that's fine, I suppose. I'm really looking forward to the next Zelda. I will play the shit out of it. I'm sure it'll be incredible. Okay.
I mean,
In fairness,
Nintendo.
I will be nice here. Mario Kart World is a massive expansion of that game and feels like a huge step forward, actually, for
Yeah.
for that franchise.
But I mean, Nintendo also gave us like Echoes of Wisdom, which is the Zelda game that's completely up changes how upends how Zelda games play. And not everyone loved it. I loved it personally. I thought it was great, and I think you should finish it now that it's 60 frames per second. But if you haven't played it, absolutely play it now. It's 60 frames per second. Great game. One of my favorites from last year. Really silly, but in a fun way.
Yeah. So I don't want to hate. I think that there are a lot of really quality experiences out there, and I constantly feel like I'm behind, and just like I gotta play this game, and I gotta play that game, and I will have more than enough to keep me busy. I just every so often I think back to like, geez, there's nothing new under the sun in video games in some ways, and until there is, so. But any other thoughts on the Switch 2, Nadia?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind me playing it right now, but we're podcasting.
Yeah, it'd be great. Can we just stop this podcast and start playing Mario Kart? Because that's kind of what I want to do.
Okay. This is now a Mario Kart podcast, everyone. You're going to watch us play Mario Kart and crash out.
Actually, on that note, before I move on, what franchises on the Switch 2 could most, Nintendo franchises specifically, like first party, could most do with a real upgrade or rethink? Here's one that I thought of while we were streaming. I would love to see a Soulsborne Metroid.
That would be really cool. I would
like
want
third
to see
person action game, but instead of a sword, you got like Samus's different abilities and the arm cannon. Because there's real Metroidvania DNA in Dark Souls and Elden Ring anyway. So it'd be so cool. I know that they're never gonna do it. Because Nintendo basically doesn't take Metroid that seriously and farms them out to other developers. But maybe if a Western developer decided that pitched a Metroid Soulsborne, maybe they would make it.
I mean, Metroid Dread was definitely harder than average Metroid.
Yeah, it was fine. Yeah, I liked it.
So that's a good starting point if you want that kind of thing. The reason I liked Dread actually is because I found it was a really good balance of exploration and combat, whereas I'm not a Hollow Knight fan because that's mostly combat. And I can learn how to do like Souls games, but I have to be really invested to do it. Otherwise, I'm just going to bounce off. I did like Salt and Sanctuary though.
I will say that Elden Ring was one of the most special gaming experiences I've had in the last 5 years.
Elden Ring's incredible.
Really fantastic. So well done. If anything, I feel slightly disappointed in Night Rain, which is a good game, because what can top Elden Ring?
There is that, and as I said when we played Night Rain on our stream, I'm going through these old places that I remember from Elden Ring, thinking, oh man, I remember this place was great. I remember this, and then it's like, oh shit, here comes the storm, and I just kind of want to sit down with Elden Ring again, and because going back, you remember, oh man, the round table hole, the music, the ashes. It's just, I'd like to go back to that. I'm worried that if I download the game on the Switch 2, I'll be lost forever.
Probably. At this point, I'm waiting for whatever the next single player experience is. God, they really need to make another Bloodborne, the original Bloodborne, or at least put out a version of Bloodborne that is in 60 FPS, because that is that's another really special experience from software. But yeah, are there Mario franchises that could do with reinvention or a rethink? I want to hear your thoughts. Talk about it on the Discord. Send me a message on Blue Sky at Cat Bailey. Last note before we move on from this conversation, I have a new Nintendo newsletter that I launched this past week. I interviewed a lot of analysts about the Switch 2's opportunities and pitfalls. A lot of them were very bullish on it, actually, including the more controversial elements like game chat. And they even said, game keys, maybe probably not going to impact Nintendo long term. But go check that out. That's a new thing. Nintencats. That's Nintencats with a K. .beehive.com. I wish Beehive, it's spelled like BEEHIIV.com. Unfortunately, it's
so
kind of hard to
awkward.
find on Google because there's a lot of games called Nintencats, 10 dogs plus cats, so it's a little hard to find on Google right now. But you can,
Don't forget the K.
But if you enter that into your URL board, you can subscribe. That's nintencats.beehive.com, and I'm going to keep updating it on the reg.
Yes.
And I'm trying to launch a podcast, so please support it. Okay, that's it for our impressions of the Switch 2. We'll be heading into our random encounters and our recaps of the State of Play and SGF, and I'll be talking a little bit about my experience with Magic the Gathering and Final Fantasy right after this. Okay, it's time now for a series of random encounters. CD Projekt showed off a brand new tech demo for The Witcher 4 at the State of Unreal Showcase, showing off its northern setting, Kovir. Looked really good. However, that is not The Witcher 4 proper. It's just a tech demo, everybody. It's just a tech demo. By the way, it's just a tech demo. Now, that's a game that I'm really looking forward to. That's one of my most anticipated games, period.
Yeah, I love it when developers make these demos with like really beloved properties and say this is only demo, it's only demo, because they always shoot themselves in the foot. Everyone says this isn't the Zelda that we saw in the GameCube. This is Zelda. Zelda. See what we did there? We're very clever.
Meanwhile, CD Projekt isn't done with Cyberpunk, announcing update 2.3 set for June 26. What will be in that update? Whom can say? But they did say that they will be teasing more as they get closer to it. From Software has confirmed a 2-player mode for Elden Ring Night Ring, thank God, because it's actually surprisingly hard to find a third for that game. Like, I've been wanting to play it more. I have the code. I have a group that I want to play with, but one of the people that I was going to be playing with wasn't available this past week, so I was like, well, I guess I'm not playing Elden Ring Night Ring.
Yeah, because you get a real awkward group dynamic when you have two people who know each other and one person who's just like...
Yeah, that is a game where you have to work together. Playing with randos is pretty tough.
You can't play with randos
for like 45 minutes. Runs are like 45 minutes. You want to do that with a group.
Yeah, absolutely. So good for them for adding to. I guess they just should have added it from the first place, but I guess they didn't.
I bet in a year this game's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I can see that.
From Zynga has shut down the developer of Torchlight 3. Remember Torchlight? Actros Studio, which had been working on a new ARPG. It's a shame. If you're not familiar with the Torchlight series, it's basically Diablo. The original creators of Diablo from Blizzard North made it during the wait for Diablo 3 back in the day. And then Torchlight 2 came out and added a lot of multiplayer, largely expanded it. And then Torchlight 3 came out and it was fine. And we have no shortage of Diablo-likes these days, so it's tough for Torchlight to stand out. But once upon a time, Torchlight did feel really special. It had a dog. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, Torchlight. I feel like I might have played this game in the olden days when I still reviewed like web games and mobile games. Like,
I reviewed it for 1UP.
Oh, really? So that must have been... God, that would have been a
That's how I established a relationship with all of the Blizzard North people.
Oh, cool.
Because I was covering Torchlight, so I was interviewing them. This was back in the day when you could really easily get people on the horn just to interview them. Like, people were way more open to interviews back in those days.
Especially Japanese developers. Like, they... That's why Parrish has so many great reviews with Japanese developers. They just, like, those were the days when they just opened up. Hey, someone from the West wants to talk to me? Awesome.
There was a time when Shigeru Miyamoto interviewed with everybody. He doesn't do that anymore.
Wow. No. But you've seen him. You have seen his presence.
I've seen him. I have been in his presence. He knows that I exist.
And he has forgotten.
And he has forgotten all about me. And finally, Stig Asmussen's new studio, that's the developer of Jedi Fallen Order, among other games. Giant Skull, what a name, is working on a new Dungeons & Dragons game, because there's a lot of D&D games. But of course, aside from the Switch 2's launch, the big news was all of the different showcases. We are in the midst of Summer Game Madness. It's that time. I'm not in Los Angeles right now. I'm right here watching it from afar for the first time since 2013. But I was streaming it alongside Nadia, and we also did the one with Eric with State of Play. We're going to be doing Xbox tomorrow. More on that soon. First, State of Play recap. Basically, we got the Final Fantasy Tactics announcement that we wanted. It's an enhanced version, which will feature updates to the script, fully voiced in English and Japanese, additional event scenes, and a revamped UI. The classic version is the original game in almost perfect fidelity, with quality of life updates like autosave. Yasumi Matsuno and Hiroshi Minagawa are both involved, and it will be out September 30th. I think it's really cool that the Final Fantasy Tactics sickos are getting more story from Matsuno. Matsuno is penning the scenarios, so that's a big deal by itself.
Yeah, that's finally got a missing link with the Evilly story, which obviously deserves to be more fleshed out than it is.
Yeah, it was initially announced for the PlayStation 5, but it will be on the Switch 2 as well. And frankly, Nadia, that's the system that I'm going to be playing it on.
Yeah, that's very much a Switch game, a handheld game.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I beat War of the Lions for the first time on the Vita, back when we were doing game clubs on the US Gamer.
Yeah, I know one version has a terrible time running, and I think it was the PSP version. And
yeah,
or the mobile
it's a little
version.
slow. It's a little slow, but still perfectly playable. I think that this one obviously is going to be the best version that you're going to be able to find of Final Fantasy Tactics. They did a good job with Tactics Ogre back in the day as well. So once again, Final Fantasy Tactics, a game that was relatively hard to find up until now. We did do a Pantheon, as I already mentioned, for it. You can still play it on the Vita or the original PlayStation, honestly, but it had gotten kind of hard to find. It is one of the greatest tactics games ever made. Still holds up really well. It's so fun to break. And another game that's super fun to grind. Eric wanted to write an ode to that stupid archer that stands on top of a mountain and pings you over and over again.
There was a Facebook meme of all places where I saw that guy, and it just like had him saying in a text bubble like "Hope you save, dickhead" or something like that, or "Hope you have another save file, dickhead." That was it.
Eric mentioned that he hasn't finished Final Fantasy Tactics, which really surprised me because he's a tactics sicko. I thought that not only had he finished it, that he was a big fan of it, but apparently not.
I'm bad at the game, and I would assume that maybe the end gets really hard, and maybe that's something even at a quality of life edition might fix, because I've heard the game can get cheap sometimes.
So if you haven't listened to our Pantheon episode, which why haven't you? It's a really good Pantheon episode. There's a lot of things that make Final Fantasy Tactics really special, Nadia, and I'll just run through them really quickly. First of all, the way that it integrates the job system is so much fun, and there's so many ways that you can break it and have multiple terms. It actually makes me think of Magic the Gathering a little bit. And so it's fun to mix together the different jobs and then grind and unlock different abilities and get different items and get characters who are just completely broken like Sid. And when it's slow to start, but when you get really going in that game, it's awesome. Another thing that's really amazing about Final Fantasy Tactics is the story. And it's one of the more sophisticated political dramas that I've seen in a games period still, even now.
It also has red chocobos, which there is a red chocobo in the Final Fantasy Tactics equivalent in Final Fantasy XIV, and it's called the Red Comet because it will kill you.
Yeah, probably.
It's red chocobos, don't go near them.
Don't mess around with chocobos. They will F you up.
Yeah. They're basically cassowaries. But yeah, it has Radical Defect says it's the best narrative in Final Fantasy. Fight me. What do you think?
I can't disagree, actually. It's a little different from your classical Final Fantasy because it's much more of a political drama than the high fantasy of, say, like Final Fantasy IV, which is like a manga, or Final Fantasy IV and V are kind of like mangas. Final Fantasy VI is an ensemble character drama. Again,
it's like an opera, literally. Yeah. It's modeled after an opera.
Final Fantasy VII is... Well, it has a lot of... It does have a lot of political commentary, but it's not the same. Final Fantasy Tactics feels much more grounded than all of these games. It's a world that feels very lived in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Evilise feels very lived in. We talked about this actually a lot in the Vagrant Story Pantheon because it's the same world linked up. And yeah, it's interesting when you think about it. Like, what a contrast Final Fantasy Tactics story was next to Final Fantasy Six's. Sorry, Final Fantasy Seven's. Final Fantasy Seven's to me felt like more looser, more cyberpunk, more teen drama, whereas Final Fantasy Tactics felt like more like a Song of Fire and Ice. I don't want to say that, but uh, was it War of the Roses it was modeled after? It was
I
modeled
think
after
so.
some war.
Yeah, I think it's modeled after a real world conflict, much like I believe Game of Thrones is modeled after those conflicts. Maybe Game of Thrones is modeled after the War of Roses as well. So popular thing to go back to in video games. But
It sure is. The history nerds love them some War of Roses.
well, I also like the way that it frames history and kind of talks a little bit about how events can get lost, and as you just hear the official narrative, what's that? History's written by the victors. Anyway, if you haven't played Final Fantasy Tactics, this is a great time to jump in, and that will be out September 30th, which will be a busy time for new games. Other notable announcements from SGF: Neo 3 was announced, and there's a demo that you can play right now. I don't really have that many opinions on Neo 3. It's a fairly well-regarded Souls-like from Team Ninja. It's noted for being extremely difficult, and I always found it a bit wooden in terms of animation and things like that, so it never really hit that hard for me. But I know that it definitely has its fans. Its demo's out right now. Separately, during SGF, Lies of P's big DLC dropped. Lies of P Overture. Yeah.
That was out of nowhere. That was a shadow drop. Neo, I feel like, has a really specific sense of humor that I appreciate, but I'm not good enough to really play those games. On the other hand, I hear that Final Fantasy, what was the one that the one with Jack and Chaos, that Final Fantasy game.
Oh, Stranger in Paradise.
Stranger Paradise. I hear that's basically Final Fantasy Neo, and it's fantastic. So
Yeah.
maybe I'll just
There's
get
a lot of
play
people
that
who really
instead.
like that. Chaos! I'm going to scream that every time
Chaos.
I play Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering.
Do they have a Jack card? Please tell me they have a Jack card.
No, they don't. But we were just talking about how you don't mess with chocobos. In the game that I was playing last night, one of the people I was playing against put out Titan, and a chocobo drop kicked it into oblivion, which is a pretty funny image, actually. I don't know. They used removal, and they were able to kill Titan pretty fast. So it was like, whoops.
That's funny, actually.
And finally, there was Digimon Storytime Stranger. Digimon Story Time Stranger. That's it. Just goes to show. Digimon Storytime Stranger.
Get into the white van, kids. Read story time.
It's Digimon Storytime Stranger. Hey kids, it's Digimon Storytime.
I have candy too.
Oh, look how beat red I am. Oh my gosh. You got me, Nadia.
Sorry.
And there was a Marvel fighting game announcement from Arc System Works, and Eric was going super wild over that one. It looks good.
I'm so mad because I will say that was a bad way to end the presentation because, like, wait, were we talking? Sorry, that was
Oh, we are talking about we're talking about SOP. There's so many announced.
Okay, there's so many.
It was a bad way to. They just ended it with this kind of documentary, and we thought, oh, is there more?
Yeah.
Is there more?
Yeah. I kept waiting for the Capcom to show up because they're like, oh, we didn't know if we could do it by ourselves. I'm like, here comes Capcom, and no, here comes Sony. All right. So I was saying, if this is the end of Marvel versus Capcom, okay, fine. I want to see a Capcom versus Capcom. I want to see Capcom versus Capcom everything. Strategy games, RPGs, fighting games, of course. Come on. I don't understand why this isn't happening.
You know what I want Arc Systems Works to do for their games? Mm-hmm. So, full disclosure, I don't really care about Marvel. I don't care about the world. I like it just fine. I enjoy the MCU just fine, but I'm not super invested in it. So, a Marvel fighting game doesn't really land with me. You know what would be awesome if Arc System Works did a Final Fantasy version of this? Wouldn't that be dope?
Oh,
Wouldn't you play
that'd
the
be amazing.
shit out of that? I would.
Well, yeah, of course.
That'd
Yeah,
be
I'd
so
play that.
cool.
Oh,
Uh,
imagine like all the characters with their spin on it, because like those Marvel characters look really good.
like playing with Cloud versus Sephiroth in this context, or just basically all the Final Fantasy games. Zidane
So
and Squall. I would main Squall. I would main Lightning. Oh my god. Now I just
I'd
want this. I want this thing. I've
I'd
got
main
Final
Laguna.
Fantasy crossovers on the brain right now, so.
I'd main Laguna and just shoot everyone.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Laguna, Final Fantasy VIII got so screwed in this new set, Nadia. So
Oh, yeah.
screwed. I'm so upset. No Laguna, basically at all. The only reference to Laguna is there's something called like Laguna's Dreams, which
Yeah, there's like a card with him, Kyros, and Ward, I think.
yeah, but there's no, you cannot have here Laguna as a commander. There's no character card for Laguna. And it felt
sad.
like some Final Fantasies got a bone tossed to them. It's like, okay, Squall's pretty good. And Cypher.
Yeah.
Ultimisia is not good.
Yeah.
There's no selfie card.
Oh
Unacceptable.
no, none at all.
No selfie
Oh.
card. No train song
Train
card.
card. The train song could be in there.
Train,
That's
take me
bad.
away.
Train,
Renoa's
train.
not very good in this game. It was
She
pretty
has
bad.
Angelo though.
She does have Angelo. She's not even good in the 99. Kind of disappointing. And then Final Fantasy 12 got hosed even harder. Fran and Baltier are one character, and it's a freaking vehicle card. Ugh.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
I don't even play the game. I can tell you that sucks.
Yeah, and there's no Captain Bosch. Van is in it, but
Yeah.
and Ash is in it. Ash is like a support card. Ash should be a freaking commander. Ugh. Okay. Okay, I'm getting sidetracked. As you can tell, I got Final Fantasy on the brain. Magic the Gathering, Final Fantasy. Also, Arc Systems Works, do Gundam. That would rule too.
That would be good. That would be pretty good. You know they want to. Look at Iron Man.
What about Pokemon? Could you imagine if Arc Systems Works did a proper Pokemon? I'm not talking Pokemon Tournament here. I'm talking about a proper Pokemon fighting game.
Isn't Pokemon a fighting game?
It's fine.
I don't know anything about
okay.
Pokemon. Isn't it like Tekken?
It's kind of weird. So you got a 2D game, and then it goes into 3D. It's a little weird, a little goofy. But yeah. So my point is, Arc System Works, make a fighting game based on something I like.
You got Cat's opinion right here. Hi, Azixa. I want to just sidetrack for a second here and say that I sent Azixa a Pokemon stop that was from a mural called Toronto Destroyed. And that's it's literally a mural of Toronto Destroyed. It's really cool.
That was really cool.
It's a good Pokestop.
Okay. Continuing on with the recaps, yesterday, as of the recording of this podcast, which was Friday, we had Summer Game Fest, and that can be boiled down to, you like shooters? We got the shooters, all the shooters, so many shooters. We got extraction shooters, and capture the flag shooters, and more extraction shooters. If you want shooters, you're getting the shooters. Oh, and hero shooters too. Don't forget the hero shooters. I felt kind of bad for all the shooters. One of the Dreamhaven Studios were showing out their game, Wildcate, and it was like, cool. That looks like a game. I feel terrible for them. Like, if your announcement doesn't land, it's like, well, good luck.
I feel like developers, and probably not their fault. Everything's like all timing, and God knows it's hard to get a game out there. But do you remember the time Overwatch premiered or launched or previewed alongside Battleborn? And it was very clear only one was going to come out the winner. And that was an event I feel like people should have learned from a lot more than they did. And that even one is too much. If people even perceive that your game is the same as the other game, they're both not going to win. Sorry.
More than ever, I think it's an all or nothing zero-sum game. It is so hard.
Yes.
I think games like Concord are going to become more and more common, where they come out, literally nobody plays it. You have tens of people on Steam playing it, and then it just folds up its tent within 6 months and goes away. And then you never hear about it ever again.
Yeah, absolutely. It's sad, but it's just the reality, especially with more free-to-play games. Even Hoyoverse is kind of betting against itself all the time.
The established franchises are so established, and everybody plays them. Everybody has their game that they're already playing. For me, it's Monster Hunter. So
There you go, right?
it's an
Like
investment to jump into one of these service games, and people might sample it and go, well, that was cool. Anyway, moving on.
they have to have a reason to abandon what they put so much time into. And when you still have games like Counter-Strike Go taking so much oxygen out of the room, you got an uphill climb. I would
You do.
never like if I have consulted for games in the past, and if a developer ever asked me like, what genre should I, make a game in, I'd say not not a shooter, not now, not unless you have like a really good retro shooter idea. Like
Yeah.
Doom is still doing its thing. Boomer shooters are still doing their thing, but I think the only game that really I said, okay, this might have a chance is the Capture the Flag game, just because that format has not been beaten to death already.
Yeah, I think if you're making an extraction shooter or a hero shooter, good luck. If you capture the flag, is actually kind of fun. That's not a
Yeah,
bad.
Capture the Flag. It's been a hot minute,
It
I
feels like
think.
it's been a hot minute.
Yeah.
But we're not a shooter podcast. We're an RPG podcast because RPGs are the much better genre. And unfortunately, there
Yes.
were many RPGs at SGF. The Switch 2 was actually hardly present during this thing. I was going to
It
do
wasn't there
a
at all.
whole. For my newsletter, I was going to do a whole recap of everything at SGF for the Switch and Switch 2, and I was able to name 2 games. One was Sonic Chronicle, the Sonic racing game, and the other was
That was
Hitman
good.
World of Assassination, which was already out, and they announced that new DLC for it. I will say, however, Mina the Hollower looks sick.
Oh, so cute.
There's a
And
demo. It's basically kind of a callback to classic Game Boy Color games. It looks a little bit like Link's Awakening. I want to play this
it looks
game
a
on my
lot like it.
analog pocket. It looks so good.
Yeah, yeah. And I was gonna shout out. Oh, Scott Pilgrim, of course. Scott Pilgrim
Yeah,
was great.
I'm so excited about
I
that too.
I'm so happy
It's by
because this
Tribute
has,
Games. They do really good stuff.
and they have Paul Robertson, who was
Yeah,
a favorite artist of mine
Brian
through the
Lee
tens, and
O'Malley,
he's
Paul
kind of
Robertson, Anna
disappeared.
Monoguchi's back.
Yeah, it's also it looks like they're expanding the Toronto map, as it were. Like I saw locations like High Park, which has a zoo, so maybe you can cause some zoo havoc right there. And yeah, one thing I really love about Robertson's art is that he lives in Australia or New Zealand, as far as I know, and he just really captured the feeling of a snowy night in the Annex, that part of Toronto.
Yeah,
What's kind of depressing though is that you don't get snowy nights like that even now anymore. Like that snow, that aesthetic just doesn't happen as often as it used to.
yeah.
Such a nice aesthetic though. I loved it. Just really cat. And everyone's going around with their coats without their coats because yeah, of course they are. Who wears a coat in the winter? Losers. That's who.
There's a new Bandai Namco action RPG called Toa and the Guardians of the Sacred Tree, which looked a little bit like Hades. It looked fine. I have really no opinions on it, but it does exist. There's a little game called Resident Evil Requiem. I'm happy for folks who got that. There's a lot of survival
That
horror during this stream, a lot of action adventure, a lot of shooters, not as many RPGs. However, if you want to call it an RPG, the game that I was the most excited about, aside from Mina the Hollower and Scott Pilgrim EX, was definitely the new RGG Studio I don't know if you would call it a Yakuza game. It is set in Tokyo circa the 1940s. It's kind of a crime drama game. It's called Stranger Than Heaven. It looks awesome. It looks so
that
awesome.
I'm extremely interested in. And I said the reason for that is because I love games that give us a Japanese perspective that you would not get in our culture usually. Like Japan in that time of the year, like I read Barefoot Gen, which
That
is
time of the year.
horrifying. Time of the year. I'm sorry, everyone. Time of the day. That's worse. No, time in history. I'm sorry.
Time in
That time in
history.
history. I've read Barefoot Gen, which is horrifying,
Oh
but
God,
this would
yeah.
be more like it's just going to be depressing as hell, of course, but it's just a part of that history that I haven't seen an angle. That's the word I'm looking for.
When I was in college, I took a Japanese history through pop culture class, and that's
Oh,
where
that sounds
I
interesting.
discovered a lot of stuff like Pat Labor and Space Battleship Yamato. And so we watched a lot of anime in this class. It was really fun. And one of the things we did as a homework assignment was read Barefoot Gen. And at that
Oh
time, I
no.
was working security, overnight set security. And when I wasn't grinding Pokemon in Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, I was reading this manga, Barefoot Gen. And let me tell you, getting to the part where the nuclear bomb is dropped at 3 in the morning in the dark,
Oh no.
I was
Oh
just sitting
no.
there like blue screen of death in this utterly silent office building going, what the F?
Man. Even like Art Spiegelman, who wrote Mouse, one of the most fucked up comics you'll ever read in your life, he he has an introduction for one of the Barefoot Gen collections. And he's like, "Whoa, this is fucked up, y'all!" Like, that's how screwed up Barefoot Gen is. But it's such a good manga. Like, I actually reviewed it for. I was writing about manga at the time, starting my career doing reviews and stuff like that. And God, back then they would send me boxes of manga, Viz and Tokyo Pop. Anyone remember Tokyo Pop? They sent me the entirety of Barefoot Gen, and man, yeah, I'm happy for less melty history.
Oh my god. Less melty.
I'm I'm sorry, that was insensitive. That I do want to visit Hiroshima and see the museum and
I
just kind of
have.
bear what it has. You have, yeah.
I have.
I feel like it's important. One of those things people should do, like visiting Holocaust museums and whatnot.
As an American, it really reframes a lot of things if you go
It
there.
does, doesn't it? Yeah, it would.
Yeah, I think if you're an American, you should really go. Also, Hiroshima is a beautiful city, and it's really
It
cool to
is.
go to the local island and explore. There's a lot of deer there. It's really nice hiking and stuff.
I The thing that makes me jealous about Japan is that it's like I want to visit Hiroshima. Well, I can do that from Tokyo by taking a train that gets there in like a few hours. That
Yeah,
goes like 50,000 miles per hour.
50,000.
50,000. It just launches. Phew, you're there in a second. You're dead from the G-force, but you're there.
Their baseball team has one of my favorite names in
What's
sports:
that?
the Hiroshima Carp.
I love that. The
That's a
carp.
great
They
name,
can
right?
jump and become. They can become dragons.
Yeah, they can become
Potential so
dragons.
good.
Okay, so that's SGF and SOP. If you're an RPG fan, it was kind of slim pickings.
Hello.
However, Xbox is tomorrow, and I think that's going to be kind of the main event. If you're an RPG fan, weirdly, the shoe's on the other foot. It used to be Xbox, you're gonna get all your shooters and bro games. Now it's all the RPGs. I guess it's a little weird.
Well, they did buy up like all of the West RPG developers, so you got to have some kind of payout sometime. It'll happen. We believe in this house. We believe.
If you're listening to this podcast on Monday, obviously the Xbox stream will have already happened, and you can be like, wow, Kat, you were just really missed the mark on here. But it sounds like we are getting a Persona 4 remake announcement. Uh, there was this conspicuously timed moment where all the voice actors were saying they wouldn't be in it. So it almost, I don't know what was going on, but it almost felt like they were teasing it in a coordinated fashion. There was a
Yeah.
there was a conspiracy theory going around that the voice actors were saying they weren't involved in order of introduction of the characters.
People go outside. I'm sorry. You're thinking a little too hard. I feel like what happened was Persona 3's voice actors got replaced, and so did Persona 4's. And
Yeah,
I mean, God bless Yuri Lowenthal. I'm not saying I would hate to see him come back, but dude, you're in everything. Give someone else a chance.
I guess. I don't know why they would replace them.
Everything.
Well, whatever.
I don't know.
But so yeah, I think we'll see that. I think we'll see Clockwork Revolution return. That was the one by the devs who did the Wasteland, Wasteland 2 and 3.
Oh, right.
It was
Yeah.
from the studio that was founded by Brian Fargo. It was one of the many studios that was purchased by Xbox back in the day. So they've been working on this one for a little while now. I think there's a lot of speculation over whether we will see a Fallout New Vegas remaster in time for the release of the show. I do not think we will be seeing that. I also don't think we'll be seeing Fallout 3. I could be wrong, but it does not seem like those games are far enough along to be ready to show. As for the Elder Scrolls 6, that could be a stinger, but that
That's so
one
funny.
does seem like it's a little ways away still. So
We're not gonna get gameplay if we get a stinger for Elder Scrolls 6. Like,
it will have been like 10 years since they announced it by the time that freaking game comes out, if you can believe it. It's crazy. I'm sure Xbox is like, what the heck?
I can see a world where if we don't see Fallout
In a
3
world.
and or New Vegas through this in this presentation, we will see it very soon because I think Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion remake has just like been way more popular than anyone anticipated. So everyone wants the old stuff again. Everyone wants the
Yeah,
nostalgia. So
that's what I
the
mean
devs
by
get
like
that.
it feels like games are stagnant. I'm playing the same games that I was playing 20 years ago, and they don't feel
And yet
that
you can't
different.
resist them.
They're just technically better. Nothing new under the sun. Okay, so that's happening. We'll see how that turns out. I'm looking forward to a Persona 4 remake. I would love to see Persona 6. Where are you? Where are you, Persona 6? I played Persona 4. It was good. I have some
Come
issues
back,
with it.
Persona 6.
Come
Come
back. Come
back.
back. All right, finally, it's the pre-release weekend for Magic the Gathering and Final Fantasy, and after this podcast is done, I'm going to a pre-release event. It's my baby's first pre-release,
Yay.
Nadia.
Oh, that's so
Wow.
nice.
Do you
Is
know anything about
Steven gonna
pre-releases
be
for
there?
Magic?
No, zero. Absolutely nothing.
So the way it works is that you go, and they give you a special little gift box that has some packs and other things, and special collector's cards to celebrate the pre-release. So because it's technically a week until it's out, though you can buy it right now at your game shop. A lot of game shops are selling them already. In fact, like I went over to someone who had bought all the pre-cons and also a whole box, and we played something called a limited or a sealed, where we just all got packs and then we constructed decks out of them and played
Nice.
against one another. I played well, the deck that I made wasn't very good, but the one of them played like a deck that had Titan and some like really strong creatures in it. And Titan kind of kicked the crap out of me, actually. Killed
Bow
me.
down, Overdweller.
Killed me dead.
Titan.
And the other one was a Chocobo deck. And Chocobos are really strong in this one.
I love
Chocobo
Chocobos.
landfall
Chocobos are
deck.
so versatile.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then, I'm going to go play today, and hopefully I do well, because then I can get some new packs for myself. My overall thoughts is that the cards are really, really pretty. I got some really sick cards out of this. I posted them in the actual chat on the Discord, but I got a full art of the battle on the big bridge.
Oh, nice.
And I used it during my actual game, and I played the battle on the big bridge theme. So,
Of course.
as required, Nadia, that's what I had to do.
It was so interesting, like when I started going to like Final Fantasy concerts like in the early aughts, and back then even they would play Battle on the Big Bridge, and Arnie Roth, who has been the conductor for the Final Fantasy stuff for a very long time, is just like, yeah, we play this a lot in Japan, but nobody really asks for it in North America. And it was Battle on the Big Bridge, and now that Final Fantasy V is finally available as easily in North America, now it's like part of our vernacular for or audio vernacular, for lack of a better term. And of course, it's been covered. Like even Final Fantasy Rebirth covered it. I won't say how or why, but that was actually really hilarious. Great cover of it. It's a great song. One of Uematsu's best.
I would love to go.
Speaking of, you play Final Fantasy Life I. Uematsu has done a lot of music for that.
Really? Uematsu?
Yes, and
I thought he was basically retired.
Maybe this was a favor, but he did a lot of. In fact, you get like a lot of unique songs from him, and it's a big surprise when you finish the game with one of your, or you become a master with one of your characters. Like something really fun happens.
I pulled this card. Let's see if I can.
Kefka? That's
Kefka. It's a reprint of a card that already exists. Perforus, God of the Forge. But I just love the art. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
If the camera would actually zoom in on it, that would be really cool. I got this beautiful Ambrosia card. The Chocobo.
Yeah,
Check it out.
Oh, dang. It's like a
Isn't
white
that pretty?
Chocobo.
Yeah.
Bird. It just says bird. Bird.
And I got this sick Zidane card.
Oh, sweet.
Is that cool?
Oh, shit. That's nice artwork. I
Yeah.
can't remember who drew that. That looks very similar to an FF14 style.
It's by Kanata Katana.
Oh, I don't recognize that name.
Yeah. But
really nicely done, though.
I don't know if I would build a deck around it, but I bet you could have some fun with it. And this is what Battle on the Big Bridge looks like.
Oh, this Gilgamesh and his
50
million swords, and that's Bart's.
Yes. Butts.
Mr. Butts.
I want to build a Chocobo deck with Butts and everybody. So, but yeah, that was my initial kind of haul from Final Fantasy. Pretty
Good
happy
job.
with a lot of them. I got
I like
lightning
your
too.
binder
I want to
too.
build a lightning deck. Um, but my initial impression of it is it's just a really fun and flavorful way to play, to experience Final Fantasy. The cards really make me smile. I've heard some mixed reviews on the way it actually plays, because a lot of them are really overpowered in kind of a way that's really stupid. And
Yeah.
the tempo and is a little weird. It's a little janky as far as a Magic the Gathering set goes. And if you're not a Final Fantasy fan, you're playing Magic the Gathering, I could see this set being annoying as shit, because now all of a sudden you're like trying to play Magic and freaking Final Fantasy characters are coming in. You're like, what is going on?
That's so that's big energy from the early aughts again when people were like, "Oh, Yu-Gi-Oh rocks. They got to play Yu-Gi-Oh." And they try to play it like cartoon and they get demolished so quickly. Blue Eyes White Dragon. Oh, it's severely underpowered. You can beat this thing with like a toddler's toy.
If you want to annoy a Magic the Gathering fan, just be like, you should put a Pip Boy 3000 in your deck, or like something from Doctor Who, because these like secret layer sets, these crossover sets that are kind of like Fortnite, are kind of taking over. There's so many good Final Fantasy cards. There's this one
Yeah.
Chocobo card that's now essential for a certain deck type, for example. And if you're a Magic fan, you're just kind of throwing your hands up. It's like, I like dragons and high fantasy. What the heck? So
It's interesting. I don't know if we were talking about this on the show or Victor and I were talking about on Charlie and Dropouts, but Final Fantasy, Square Enix, they do have their own card game. And
they
it
do,
started off kind
and
of
nobody cares.
flaccid. Nobody cared because they weren't using art. They weren't using like good art. They were using clip art. But now apparently they're working on that. And Victor says they've improved the game a lot. So maybe when they see that how much magic, because God, this has the Final Fantasy sets aren't they like the biggest sellers for and ever?
Yes, this is the
So
biggest selling Magic the Gathering set of all time already. Can you
so
believe
I can
that?
absolutely see.
Can you
I
believe
believe it.
that?
I can see Square
Final
Enix being
Fantasy.
like, well, when I think about what was going on in my high school years, there were two things happening in the nerd sector: Pokemon and Magic. And I was actually always trying to get people, like people were always trying to recruit me to play Magic. I'm like, no. The people who played Magic, they did so in this downstairs computer lab that always smelled like bologna sandwiches. I just wasn't into it.
Well, that's a mood.
Bologna sandwiches. Yeah.
No, it's just I can imagine the smell of that computer lab. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, they said no food. Guess who always brought food into the computer labs? Everybody. Guess who spilled it on the computers? Everybody.
When I was in high school, there was a cohort of boys who played Magic the Gathering, and I remember thinking, well, you seem really into this, but I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
And and then over time, I became friends with a lot of people who were really, really into Magic. I used to go to Shivam's parties, and he and his friends would disappear into a room for hours to play Magic. And I
I
was
always
like,
wanted to go to his parties.
I was at his house the other day, and he was showing me his collection. He was like, "Wowcat, now that you're into Magic, I can show you all this incredible stuff I've got." And legit, it was really mind blowing. His collection is really incredible. He has prototypes of
Wow.
cards that are literally one of a kind. It's wild. So
It's funny how we're connected to him through different things. Like I know I can talk Dragonlance with him until I die. Magic, I don't he can say whatever he wants. I wouldn't understand a goddamn word. But now you can talk to him about magic. You understand magic
yeah,
language.
yeah. I'm gonna try and keep next week's episode kind of accessible for Final Fantasy fans.
Mhm.
Just more of a primer, I think, because I mean I know we have plenty of Magic fans on the Discord, but I think this conversation gets really inaccessible really fast.
Does Sheevan still have that Suikoden 2 cover art framed
It's from
on his
Suikoden 3.
3? Oh man, I'm so jealous. That was a gift exchange at the Talking Time forums way back in the
It's a
day.
really
Just
cool gift. Yeah,
it's gorgeous.
yeah, he
Man, I
does
was
have that.
jealous. I mean, I've gotten some great gifts from the Talking Time community, and that was a king. That was great.
Well, look forward to more Magic the Gathering and Final Fantasy conversation coming soon. I'm really excited to build Lightning, and I'm really excited to build Esper Terra someday, but it'll take a while because building a Magic deck is really expensive. LOL. By the way, we just beep beep beep. We just introduced a new tier on the Patreon. Help Cat build Magic the Gathering decks.
100, 200 a month, please.
Thank you, thank
You'll
you.
get a pat on the head.
God, it's an expensive hobby, Nadia. Those
Oh, no
boxes
kidding.
are $150. It's crazy.
I
More than that.
there was someone in the lineup who was talking to me about the Pokemon cards, and I said, "Wow, are you chasing that dragon?" They said, "No, not anymore."
It's a
It's
hell
what
of
it
a
is. It's
dragon to
chasing a
chase.
dragon.
It'll
It is.
bankrupt you. It really will.
It's crazy, man.
Uh, what a time for me to get into this very expensive adult hobby.
And it's thinking about Pokemon cards. It's like they were expensive when I was a kid, and they're even more expensive now. That hobby just got worse.
I'm fortunate though. I have a dealer. It's like
Oh no,
it's like getting into cocaine, but it's like it's okay. I have a dealer, and they're hooking me up.
they'll take care of me.
Yeah, they'll take care of me.
They won't steer me wrong.
Yeah,
They won't
and then
cut
the
my
next
stuff
thing you
saying
know,
weird
it's like
shit.
you're hooked on the product, and your dealer's not helping you out anymore. It's like, oh god.
Oh, didn't you see the commercials, Kat? The Dare commercial. I didn't see too many Dare commercials, but I saw some weird Canadian ones.
Weird Canadian Dare commercials.
I can talk about them in the pit actually, since I don't have anything specific lined up yet.
And on that note, Nadia, take us home.
Yeah, like Lance Hart's in the chat here. Maybe he'll back me up, but we had some weird our whole anti-drug program was, I think, a little bit different. Uh, they used to warn us against marijuana. That stopped really quickly. No one really warned you about marijuana anymore. Yeah, we had the Concerned Children's Advertisers, and we had a song that that would be sung for very little kids, and it would go like this: drugs, 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 which are good, which are bad, drugs, drugs, drugs. Ask your mom or ask your dad. And to be honest, that's a good message because it's not telling you, hey, be paranoid about drugs. It's saying, hey, the dose makes the poison. So why don't you talk to your parents about it? And of course, people are making jokes when you're a kid about like drugs, drugs, drugs. And how your parents should be your drug dealer, and which are good. Ask your mom and dad, and then smoke weed with them. I don't know. Anthrax B says, in high school, a cop came in with a big case of different drugs in see-through containers. Do you remember the South Park episode where they're passing around marijuana?
Drugs are bad.
Drugs are bad, okay. And then it
Okay.
gets stolen, and the very end of the episode, like this whole thing ensues, and the very end of the episode, they're like, okay, so where did the drugs go? The marijuana. And you see Mr. Garrison like completely blissed out on the couch watching cartoons. Anthrax B said they also passed around a big Ziploc bag of weed that we could just pick up and look at. Well, that's gone.
Rip. Yeah, we did the Dare. We did the Dare program. We had cops coming in. They brought in someone who was an addict, I guess, who told all of their horror stories about like, yeah, you had to get my leg amputated because I was completely blissed out and I left my foot on the heater and it burned it beyond recognition. LOL. I was like, what? Clearly, it made an impression on me.
Was that like anti-marijuana, or was that just like
no, just anti-drugs? Period. Just like here's a real life drug addict.
Dang, just like on display like that, huh? They just bring him out like a clown.
That's in Minnesota, the Minnesota sports scene, there was a really sad story actually of a radio host who was fairly successful. Had been a Twins bat boy, whatever, and he was paired up with one of the most popular shows, and just at random he got hooked on coke, and got arrested, and his whole career spiraled, and he tried to make a comeback a couple times, but ended up in jail. It was really sad, actually.
Yeah, I can see that.
It really does show how it really does show how especially harder drugs can really destroy your life, unfortunately, in your career. So
yeah,
sorry to make this pit a little bit of a downer, but
pit should be educational too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A PSA for you, dear Blood God listeners. Don't get
I mean, I
hooked on
think
Coke or Magic the Gathering. Let me
see
be a
that's the thing.
cautionary tale.
I believe that all people have the ability to get hooked on something. Like human brains are just wired to get attached to say
I
gambling
thought
or
you were
drugs
gonna.
or
For a
yeah.
second, I thought you were saying I think people can get hooked on anything, like human brains.
Don't eat human brains. Look up. I don't know if it's pronounced prion or prion, but mad cow disease isn't just for cows, people.
The
Anyone can
moral
get
of
mad cow
this Blood
disease
God episode is don't get hooked on brains or Magic the Gathering
or acid. As Ixo
or
says, stay away
acid.
from acid. I saw some scary stuff at raves back in the day. Yeah, if you're not prepared to talk to God, don't take acid. Because if you like see God and you're on acid and you freak out, the most valuable advice my father gave me was if you take acid, trip along with it. But I don't really do acid, so I never really had that experience. But yeah, I would imagine that if you see something freaky, don't fight it because you won't win. God will win. Your manifestation of God will win.
I'm sure all
Same
that.
message, that new Devolver game, right? Yeah, that's right. Don't eat people.
And on that note, that's it for this week's episode of Axel Blood God. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for supporting the show once again. If you enjoy us, patreon.com/bloodgodpod. You can get the show ad-free for $5 a month, get access to Charlian dropouts, and lots of other bonus content as well, including the premium version of our newsletter, which you should subscribe to. We've been streaming a lot recently, twitch.tv/bloodgodpod. That's where we do our live recordings of the episodes. We're on YouTube at Blood God Pod. We're on all the social media channels. We have a TikTok now. Can you believe that? We're doing clips.
Yeah.
Blood God
And
Pod.
YouTube.
Instagram, Blue Sky, Blood God Pod, Blood God Pod. Go to there. Shop.bloodgodpod.com. Bloodgodpod.com. And such and such. If you're watching this right now, tomorrow on twitch.tv/bloodgodpod, we are going to be watching and reacting live to the Xbox Showcase and the Outer Worlds Direct. That's at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. And we'll be talking a little bit about that. That'll be me and Nadia. Been having a good time. We're getting through this whole weekend. Eric's at SGF right now. He's getting content. I think he's going to be talking to the Magic the Gathering devs. Turn that into either a newsletter or podcast. So look forward to that. And then we'll have Shivam on next week. And I'm going on a show, and we're talking a lot about Magic. And we're going to try and keep this really accessible, as I already mentioned, for all you Final Fantasy nerds. Just to maybe understand the set a little bit if you're Magic the Gathering and Final Fantasy curious as to what you can be doing with it and which characters to go after, and sort of a little primer. So, all right, we're heading to the Axe of the Blood God post show with the Stars of Destiny over on the Discord, and that's accessible exclusively to them. We'll be back next week. In the meantime, I've been your host, Kat Bailey, and for Nadia and myself, thanks for listening, and happy adventuring.